Phil and Will are back. We're actually going to talk season 30 tonight, something that not many people have been doing lately. It seems like everybody just wants to talk Survivor Second Chances. We had ours last night, so if you want to check that out, you can see what we thought of all the nominees and who we'd like to see cast. But tonight we're going to talk. We're at final six of a Survivor season, and I've never seen something so overlooked on Survivor ever. I don't think we've ever had a final six that's been so overshadowed by something else as this. And we have 2 episodes left. We got the 2-hour finale. Like, we have a lot to look forward to here. But it seems like everybody just wants to talk about second chances. But
Well, there's multiple reasons for that. One being second chances is like, it's a big deal. It is. We're voting people in. Nothing like this has ever happened before. So there is good reason for why people are excited. There are former contestants like campaigning, which is huge. They're getting involved with the fans. It is a big deal. And then the other reason is that the winner of this season is just a foregone conclusion, I think, at this point, that if we had 6 people left, and maybe even if we had 2 people that could win, it wouldn't get overlooked as much. We pretty much know our winner.
yeah, I think we do. And if Mike were to go home, it's crazy because Mike is in the underdog position. So if Mike goes home, it wouldn't really be a huge blindside. But if Mike went home, it would be a blindside, I feel like, to the viewers, unless we're just completely misreading this entire season and we just misread the edit, which I don't really think we have. I think it's been pretty apparent the entire time. Mike was the leader, then he was the underdog. He's a hard worker. And everybody else has been very complaining and very whiny, and other than Sierra, but she's just been invisible. Sierra could still win this game, but she's been very invisible.
Will isn't winning. Dan isn't winning. Sierra, all her insight has been off screen. We've only seen it in the secret scenes. Barely hear from her. She's not winning.
Up until last week, Rodney could have won, but I think after last week, it was pretty apparent that Rodney's not going to win this game.
Rodney's not winning. He can't win. And then that leaves Carolyn and Mike. And a Carolyn win, Carolyn could win, I guess. It's between Carolyn and Mike. I just don't see how Carolyn would fit the mold of one of the best, most favorite winners, like Jeff has said before. So
yeah. I don't know. Jeff loves his alpha mouse too. Mike was a huge favorite of casting and everything like that. And I know a lot of people pre-game loved Mike. I didn't really see it so much. I'm starting to see it a little bit more now because I am rooting for Mike. I guess they've edited it well enough where on the roller coaster ride this season's been, I kind of like him now, but
I didn't like him that much earlier, yeah. And then when he fell from Grace's, and after he almost pulled that move at the auction, and then he pulls his idol move, he's the underdog. You got to root for him.
Yeah, you kind of do, and we'll see how it plays out. But
I could have seen someone be rooting pretty hard for Tyler. That made sense to me. He played a really great game just up until he got completely blindsided, which seems a little strange that he was totally blindsided because he was such a threat. But now Tyler's gone, it's if you don't personally know one of these contestants, I feel like maybe Carolyn, but how are you rooting for Carolyn over Mike? I don't see that.
I don't know. I'm not a big Carolyn fan. And people yesterday in our second chances, we said Carolyn had no chance of getting on. Somebody brought up a good point. She is fresh in casuals' minds right now, and I'm not using casual derogatory like the internet uses it. But she is fresh in people's minds, and you can't just rule out recency bias. It's there. And with the women especially, there's so many who are so forgettable that Carolyn could easily sneak in as one of the 10 just because people remember, and they don't remember 6 of the other women.
That is a good point. She could get on just because people know her. I really think the only reason she was included is to not just have Mike who's still remaining in this game. I feel like that's the only reason she's in there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but I guess let's get into the power rankings, some predictions. We had a lot of comments last time, and yeah, even though our photos are no longer season 30 related because even we have the Survivor Second Chances fever. Vote Savage, vote Jim Rice.
we got a campaign here for our guys. I could throw Jeremy up here too. I think Jeremy and Jim are the people that I think deserve to play again, and they are not shoo-ins as is. I mean, I would love to see Spencer play, but like no, he doesn't need any help. So that's why I got Jim down there.
Yep, and I got Savage because I love Savage, and Savage needs to play again. All right, anyway, season 30. There was our little campaign. Season 30. Power rankings. Number 1, I got Mike because I just think Mike's going to win. And if Mike goes home this week, then I deserve to get very few points because I've just been saying we've been saying for so long now he's going to win. And I just, even though Mike is on the bottom of the alliance, still think Mike wins. He doesn't have his idol anymore, but I don't know. There's no reason for me to have him at 1. I should have him at like 5, but I got him at 1.
I have him at 1 too. I said this when we did our recap last week. Here on out, until he gets voted off. I mean, I guess we're only going to do one more power rankings unless we do like an immediate one after the votes in the finale, which I don't think we'll do.
No.
But, so this is our second to last one. I'm keeping him number 1 just because it would honestly shock me if Mike went home. It would blow me away.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I guess it's more interesting to see who we have 2 through 6 and why we have them there. At 2, I have Carolyn. Carolyn could go this week, but she still has her idol. And Tyler went, and I think she got rid of she did get rid of the only person who knew she had an idol. So nobody knows she has it. If she smells anything coming, she could play her idol and she'll be safe.
Yeah, I have Carolyn at 2 as well. We might have very similar rankings this week as it looks like. I mean, there's only 6 people left. Carolyn, like you said, you can play it at the last time at Final 5, right?
I believe so. I mean, that's how it normally is.
So yeah, she's either going to play it this week or next week. No one knows about it, so you got to like her chances.
Yeah.
And she could win immunity also. She's one of the – it's Mike or Carolyn are really the only immunity threats at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing how Rodney is just such a challenge dud. Like, he is just such a dud. And even Sierra. Normally you see women like Sierra come on the show and they'll win 1 or 2 challenges just because, they have like the body for it. I mean, she hasn't even really competed in some of them. Like, she hasn't been very good at all. And she's normally one of the first people out of every challenge. So, I don't know. I'm surprised.
Yeah, she's an athlete in real life. Like, she's a barrel racer. She does horse stuff. So it is surprising. It's kind of a bummer because it's Carolyn or Mike, and those are the 2 people that kind of have the most power anyway. I guess Mike doesn't really. We just know.
Yeah.
Who do you got at 3?
Will. Who do you have? I thought you were going to say me too. You didn't. So now it was like an awkward.
I just know my bottom is Sierra, and that's pretty much anywhere in between here. I'm like trying to place them. Dan's got this extra vote, so I'm going to go Dan at 3 just because you got to use that pretty soon, right?
I think this week Dan uses it.
You think you would also use it in an even number setting?
Yeah, so that he is the deciding person. I think that this is the week. I guess let's get through the power rankings and then let's talk about what we think is going to happen this week. Like, really think is going to happen. Does that make sense?
I don't think you can use it at 4. So, and when you have 5, it can really work to tie, and we're pretty sure you don't get it again. So, yeah, I think it's going to have to be this week. So, Dan at 3.
Okay. I actually have Sierra at 4. I don't know why I have her. I have her at 4. I have Dan at 5 and Rodney at 6. I think this is Rodney's week. I think he goes this week. Although I guess he probably is going to be in the finale. But for some reason, I just think Rodney's going to go this week. I think that's who Mike and Dan are going to target. And I think Mike and Dan are going to get back together finally this week after they saw. I don't really know. I just think Dan's going to get a little paranoid that his name didn't come up this week. I don't know. I just think for some reason Mike and Dan are going to get back together, maybe Sierra, and I think this is Rodney's time to go. So I don't know.
I'm going to switch Dan and Carolyn. I'm going to go Dan at 2, and I'm going to go Carolyn at 3, and then Will at 4, Rodney 5, Sierra 6. I fear for Sierra. I think just because we pretty much think she can't win. If you're on the island there and Sierra's been friendly to everyone, hasn't pissed anyone off, and played a pretty smart game. I mean, it's not like she tried flipping. she really never had an opportunity to because other people didn't want to. It's not like you can, especially when it was like 7-3. Like you can't just say, "Oh, I want to flip." You need to get people to go with you. She never could. She decided she wanted to stick with the people that were unlikable. Very smart play by her. I don't think people love her. People don't really hate her. I think people, if Mike wins immunity, who's the biggest jury threat? People aren't worried about Rodney, Dan, or Will being jury threats. Carolyn, yeah, maybe target her, but if you don't have Carolyn, who's going to beat Mike in the remaining immunity challenges? Mm-hmm. So I think that's maybe why they'll keep Carolyn around, and then they hit Sierra this week.
And I think that was the whole argument last week of Tyler going home. In that alliance, you had to be sitting there thinking Tyler's the only one who's won immunities against Mike, and Carolyn has too. But like Tyler was going to be the one who could compete with Mike and actually do something about Mike going on a rampage, like of just winning every challenge. And now he's gone. You would think they would have gotten rid of somebody like Will, even though I think Will is a GOAT to the final three easy. I don't think he's going to get voted off. I think we might never see Will's name get written down after that first episode. If he hasn't, Will's name ever been written down? I don't think it even has. I think we might never see Will's name.
I think Nina wrote his name down.
Did she? Okay. But okay, so Will might get one vote this entire season. I think he's almost a lock for the final three. I think Mike and Will are two of the people in the final three. I think the third one's probably going to be Dan, and it's going to be a really, really predictable, boring final three.
I feel like that too. I think it's Mike, Dan, Will, final three. Like we kind of said, it would be a Drew Christie edit final tribal council where it's just painfully obvious, but really entertaining, really fun, and you kind of know the outcome. And we've known it for so long. It feels like. Are you rooting for Mike now just to like save our own asses as like people making predictions, or do you want to see? Earlier on, I was like, I want to see Mike go. That would shock me. But now there's no one else that really would feel good if they won the game.
Okay, unplug and then plug back in. But it happens every time around this time. I don't understand why. But yeah, I am rooting for Mike because if Mike doesn't win this season, we look like the biggest assholes. Like because we've just been saying
besides that
out of it. I don't care about the rest of them. I think Rodney has played. I think everything's gone the way Rodney has wanted it to this whole game, and I think Rodney has played a good game. But I don't see. I'm not rooting for Rodney. Like Rodney to me is Shane, and Shane is somebody we can talk about now because it's the Survivor Second Chances. I wasn't rooting for Shane to win in Panama. I wanted Shane to stay around because he was pure entertainment, but he's not the one that I really wanted to win. I wanted Terry to win. I'd rather have seen Aris win. I'd rather see Cirie win. I did not want to see Shane win, and I feel like that's how I am with Rodney here. Yeah, he's fun TV, but if he wins, I'm like, about the whole thing.
Yeah, I would be rooting for Mike just as a viewer, not as someone who like talks about the show. I would root for Mike anyway, but I also think he's gonna win too. How about this? Mike played his idol last week. Are they going to re-hide that?
I doubt it. Final six, I think it's too late in the game. They don't really hide him this late in the game normally. I think Carolyn's will be the last one that's played, if it's ever even played. I think she just plays it next week. I think she makes it to the finale. I think Carolyn gets fourth place in this game.
But do we know when's the latest an idol has been re-hidden?
I don't know because didn't LJ and Tony all play theirs, and then Spencer found one. Spencer never played his, so that's hard to say. I don't know. I really don't.
Interesting. If you know in the comments, just let us know. I
would think maybe Samoa.
Maybe 7 is like the latest.
I would think maybe Samoa. It's almost like one of those things where if they introduce it too late in the game, it's almost unfair because it's like, well, that just came out of nowhere. Somebody just got a huge advantage. I feel like they want the advantages to pretty much all be played out. Well, when was the vote this time? Final 8, Final 9, something like that? Like I feel like they want them a little bit earlier in the merge so that it can impact the game, but not like – it's almost like refs calling fouls at the end of like a basketball game. Like you don't want the refs to completely determine the game, but earlier on they might call like some more ticky-tack stuff to set the tone. You know, I just feel like that's how this is right here. I don't think they'd hide it this late.
Yeah, and we also have one in someone's hand already. So there's that. And Dan has his advantage too. So I think there's enough going on that it wouldn't be crazy if they re-hit it. It is Survivor. They love their idols. It's great TV when they're played. People love them. But there's a lot of other stuff going on here. I don't think that they need it.
Yeah, I think it would be unnecessary. So I guess let's kind of talk about, because we got one episode and then the finale. And since we both think that Mike's definitely going to win, let's kind of talk about, like, how do you think that the rest of this is going to play out? Like, if you had to predict the final placement of these 6, how are you saying it finishes out?
I think Sierra goes this week. I think if she were to make the finale, she would have been even played up more, just earlier on. And like I said, she's just a likable lady amongst a lot of unlikable people that are remaining on the island. So I would say Sierra goes. Then it would probably be Rodney, because Carolyn has her idol. Then it would be Carolyn, and then Mike, Dan, Will in the final 3. I hope that doesn't happen, but it makes sense. Like, why would you get rid of Will at this point? I just don't think there's not a reason for anyone to get rid of Will. Dan has his extra vote. I don't know when the last time you can use it. Like, imagine you can use that at Final 4. It never said on that parchment the last time you could use it. So what if I don't know about that. So I think Dan is probably okay, because he's also really unlikable too. Why vote out Dan, especially if he uses this advantage, which we think he's going to use it. Jeff said it played out beautifully. So if he does use this advantage, it's not like he has this threat on him anymore. There's no target because it's already been played. He's just an unlikable fat guy. So I don't think he's going to get targeted either. And then, like we've been saying this whole time, Mike's just the only one that, like, would make sense from a storytelling perspective, winning the game. So I would go, Sierra, Rodney, Carolyn, and then Mike probably wins unanimously.
Yeah, here, I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. I think that the final 3 is the same. I think it's Mike. Maybe they throw a vote at Dan. Maybe Shireen votes for Dan just because she wants Will to get 3rd place. I could see something like that happening.
Okay.
Even though she doesn't like Dan, I could still see her doing that. Carolyn, I would still say 4, but I would say 5 Rodney, or 5 Sierra, 6 Rodney. And my reasoning for saying Rodney goes home this week, I believe that the vote is going to get played this week. The extra vote is going to get played this week. I think Mike is going to help orchestrate it with Dan. And I think they're going to pull in Sierra, because I don't think they can pull in Rodney. Maybe they pull in Carolyn, but I think even if they pull in Carolyn, I think they all vote out Rodney. There's no reason to vote out Will. And maybe they vote out Sierra, but this week it's either Sierra or Rodney, in my opinion. Maybe somehow Mike, Dan, Sierra, they pull a huge one on Carolyn without Carolyn seeing it because of the extra vote, and they get Carolyn out with the idol in her pocket, and that would be crazy. That
would be cool. Remember, Carolyn is like the only one who knows about Dan's extra vote at this point.
Carolyn's the only one who knows anything, and it's crazy that she knows all the stuff that nobody else in this game knows. She knows every single thing. She knows where every card is in this game, and we still don't think she can win the game. Really, she's got like a 5% chance.
Yeah, it's so true. What if Shireen votes for Dan for 2nd place, but so does Jen, and so does Haley, and so does Tyler, so does a lot. Everyone wants to give Will at least 1 vote, and then or Dan 1 vote, and then Dan wins.
That would be so funny. I think they probably talk about it at Ponderosa. That's one of the things that we never see. But that would be hysterical if Dan ended up winning the game. That would be an ultimate blindside. And then Mike and Carolyn. If Mike doesn't win this game, I think he's a lock for next season. I think the recency bias with him and Joe, I think they would both be on, and I think Shireen would be on. My biggest fear is really one of the main reasons I'm rooting for Mike right now is because if Mike doesn't win, season 31 might be Mike and Shireen hogging all the airtime from people that we really want to see play again, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. It'd be season 30 all over again.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah, I don't want to see season 30 all over again.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I don't mind this season.
I think it's been a fun season. Don't get me wrong. I've had fun with this season. The cast is pretty interesting. The boot order, there's nothing you can do when you have a kind of a lame boot order. I mean, think that Will and Dan are still in this game. It's just
It stinks. It really does. It's like Cassandra and Dreams. Even though Dreams was entertaining, it was like Cassandra and Dreams in Fiji. You had Yao Ming, you had Earl, and then you had Cassandra and Dreams. And it was like, why are they still in this game? Like they're useless. They're not going to win. And that's what Will and Dan are right now. They're not going to win. But I mean, we already have.
What if Mike goes? Just
If Mike goes tomorrow, like if Mike actually goes home tomorrow night,
then
man,
Carolyn is your winner.
Carolyn, I would say, has to be the winner unless somehow they just completely pulled the blindfold on us and Rodney or Sierra wins. And maybe Sierra pulls out a win like a Natalie White or a Sophie, where it just comes out of nowhere and they were really under-edited and they just played a good social game and everybody liked them and they win the game. Maybe that's just what happens. And they weren't good TVs, so they kept them away.
Man, that would be such a load. If Sierra wins, I want to feel robbed. For her, she got robbed if she wins because she's had some very insightful things to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Sierra won, but I agree with what you're saying. Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that mad either. It would really shock me, though. It really would. But I do fear for Sierra this week. I really think Sierra, it's her time to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little scared, but I'm hoping for Rodney. I guess let's get into a few comments here. Maybe it'll bring up some more stuff. I mean, at Final Six, there's not really a lot to talk about.
Well, when we get down this low, we can really start throwing out every scenario, something which way it could go. The problem is, it's kind of everyone versus Mike, but we think Mike's going to win. So I guess, like, let's say Mike wins immunity. Like we've said along the season, the alliances have been so loosey goosey. They're dynamic. They're changing. Nothing has really been that set in stone. So,
yeah, if Mike wins immunity, I mean, any of them go. I mean, I don't even know if the vote would have to be used if Mike wins immunity, but I think Mike's gonna. I don't think Mike wins immunity this week for some reason.
All right. Do you want to get into some comments now?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's start. Henry Alford. Watch out for Sierra. It's basically down to Rodney and her at this point because Will and Dan can't win and Mike and Carolyn are up for next season. I think she can beat out Rodney and win. I think Sierra could win, very small chance, but the whole Mike and Carolyn being up for next season I don't think means anything.
That is a decoy. I honestly think one of them will win the game, and not just because Mike. I think they had to put one of them in there so that the other, it wasn't so. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with that. I wish they would have just not put anyone still remaining in.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
They're messing with us. They really.
Jeff's been playing it up so much, it's ridiculous. So I agree with you. All right, Serenity now. Dan is finally going to get his comeuppance. 3 will vote for Carolyn, 3 will vote for Dan. Dan uses his advantage to break the tie, but Carolyn plays the trump card, her idol. Dan goes home when he thinks he's 100% safe. I can't wait to see the stupid look on Dan's face. It will be epic. That would be awesome.
That would be very cool. That would be so cool. Who commented that? That's awesome.
Serenity now.
That's MVP stuff right there from Serenity now. Because that fits what Jeff has been saying about how it plays out beautifully. And it would be such a Dan thing to happen because he's just a clown. That would be better than like the Keith thing because everyone saw that coming. Keith idling out West.
Yeah.
That would be, if he plays his advantage and Carolyn uses the idol, it would just be, it'd be perfect.
It would be perfect. And if that happens, Carolyn's going to be on next season.
It's almost too good to happen. I feel like that.
It almost seems like everything we've said that would be perfect for this season, it's always fallen just a little bit short. Every single time we do this, it just falls a little bit short of really being an epic season. It's just a little short. But if Carolyn pulls that move and somehow that happens, Carolyn will be on next season.
She'll be on next season or she'll be the winner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
James, Carolyn, it's tough to rule Carolyn out. She did have that huge first episode, 13 confessionals in the first episode. They're like doing the opposite of Tina, where, Tina was hidden. She didn't have one confessional at all. The only one not to have a confessional in Australia. The dog that didn't bark, it's the opposite.
It is. And it's not that we really haven't gotten to know Carolyn. It's just that Carolyn has just been so distant. Like we could have gotten to know her better if she's the winner. and she's been very negatively portrayed. Like a lot of the time, like I just feel like they're trying to make us not like her as much. I feel like she's supposed to be negative. I mean, I could if Carolyn wins, okay. Like I guess like I'd have to rewatch the season to see what I really thought. Like I really would.
She kind of got lost in the middle for a while. Not it wasn't like one episode. It seems like it was like a lot.
Yeah, it was. It seemed like it was for a good stretch where we were getting a lot of no collar, a lot of Mike, a lot of Rodney, and there was like nothing from Carolyn or Tyler.
A lot of Shireen.
Yeah.
So a winner usually doesn't disappear in the middle, but it could happen. It could happen.
Okay, Jamie Sleeper. My prediction: Mike wins immunity. Rodney, Will, and Dan vote for Carolyn, with Dan using his extra vote. Carolyn, Mike, and Sierra vote Dan. Carolyn used her idol, and Dan goes home. Still means Dan's extra vote works beautifully. I've been off most of the season, so this could be fan fiction, but I hope this happens. That was posted right after Serenity Now, so Serenity Now still gets MVP, but Jamie Sleeper pretty much saying the same thing. And, it could. And then he says, as for second chances, I'm pulling for all the older seasons, especially Savage. He's down here in my little corner. That's Savage. Vote for him. I don't get a few of the women that are up there. Michaela, Stephanie, and Natalie are horrible choices, in my opinion. Hope they do not get in. There had to be better choices than them. Sorry to hear no Greg Buis. I was pulling for him too. Yeah, Greg Buis would have been cool. But there's a lot of snubs on that list, and I guess we'll talk about that more once the cast is actually confirmed, right? Like we'll kind of go over like there's so many snubs. We could do like a 3-hour podcast on the snubs.
Yeah, all day. Go all day out with that one.
We really could. Like we were bouncing it back and forth when they were first coming out with him, when Redmond was posting like his initial 40, and we're like, what the hell are some of these choices? Like, what were some of those choices? Like Cliff Robinson was originally like on there, and it was like, what? Why?
I think wasn't Morgan on there at one point?
Was Morgan on there? I don't know. That would have had to have been really early if Morgan was on there.
I know Jatia was on there at one point. Which just, I mean, Jatia was fun, but like I don't want to see Jatia again.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, and then this is another one. I mean, I guess a lot of these are about season 31. I mean, I guess I'll just read them. Eddie, he said if his name is too hard to pronounce, Eddie or Edor will do. We're going to do Eddie. Who do you think?
Edor sounds awesome.
Edor. Who do you think will be on the season 31 list? We talked about that in our last podcast yesterday, so if you want to listen to that. But who I want on, but who aren't on the list, Kenny from Gabon, Greg from Borneo, and Matt from Redemption Island. Willie could write us a novel about why Kenny from Gabon could be on the season, and I could probably write one for Greg. Like, seriously.
The whole Gabon cast could come back.
And really, Matt from Redemption Island, that's a good point. Matt Elrod had a terrible first time playing, and if he were to come back, I would be curious to see if he would learn. Because he was probably one of the highlights of that terrible, terrible season.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. How he was on Redemption Island like the entire time, comes back, and then gets voted out immediately.
And he kind of deserves a second chance for that. Like, he kind of does. Like, he was an idiot, but, I mean, he played with Boston Rob on, like, the Boston Rob run around the ring, like, just celebrating tour. Like, it was a victory lap, and Matt just happened to be the punching bag for it.
Yeah. I'm all for that. That's a good list of people who I would like to see again.
Yeah, and then who he wants back: Shane, Spencer, Tasha, Kelly, Cass, Shane, Terry, Shane, and Shane. He really likes Shane. I think he wants Shane back on the season.
I don't worry for Shane. I think Shane's coming back.
Yeah, I think he's almost a lock. Corey Banana says maybe Jen or Haley turned down the opportunity to play again. I don't think Jen was offered the opportunity. I'm curious about Haley though.
Yeah, I am too. I think Haley was really well liked. I really think they needed to have, once they decided they're going to put Mike in here, they needed someone else that was going to make it far, and they realized we need someone that's still in the game too, and it's not just Mike. And so that's why they went with Carolyn. Shireen has a lot of fans, and she's kind of a lot of people are saying, I think her edit was to campaign for her to come back. And that's why it was such a funny story with Shireen, how she was really annoying, and then she got bullied and it was all the way at bottom. She starts coming up, and then no. And I didn't really feel like she had a fulfilling arc, and that she has more left in her.
Yeah, and my thing is, as much as I don't want to see just a season 30 repeat, Haley would have been so much better than a lot of the girls on that list. I would have really enjoyed seeing Haley again, but I don't want to see a season 30 repeat. And if you put Haley on that list too, all of a sudden we have 6 people like from one season, the most recent season. Even the winner, even if Mike is the winner, Carolyn is the winner, we could end up with 5 people from one season. That would be a lot. Like that's too much.
Yeah, it'd be a Caramoan all over again.
It would. And I was actually thinking about it earlier today. I'm pretty sure Australia has the most people who have come back. I think that it had 6. I might be making that up, but I think Scoopin put it at 6 because we were talking about how if one world had.
Let's count them right now. It's not too hard. You have Amber, Tina, Alicia,
Colby, Jerry, and Scoopin.
Jerry, Scoopin. That's
6. And we were talking about yesterday if one world, if Troyzan were to come back and who was the other one? Whoever else. Sabrina.
Sabrina and Brad.
Yeah, they would. No, Brad was not. Brad was Blood vs. Water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Monica is, but I forgive you. But it's still, I mean, they would be up to 5, right? Monica, Kat, and Colton. And then they would, if they got those 2 on, they would be up to 5. They'd be 1 behind like one of the classic seasons of all time. Get out of here. That's awful. Stop. Don't put One Worlders on.
Hate One World.
All right, none of your business. Let's be real. Most of the older players would be completely boring in season 31. I don't know. Greg wouldn't do anything. If Shane's got on the show, he wouldn't be nearly as crazy as before, and it would completely ruin his hilarious legacy. I'm upset Hayden Moss didn't make the cut. He deserved it 1,000 times more than Woo. Jim is so meh. Also, is it just me or does the female selection seem a tad lackluster? Just a few I'm pulling for: Steven, Spencer, Jeremy, Cass, Kelly, Tasha. That's Kelly Wentworth. Tasha, Mike, Max, Joe, Shireen, Sierra.
Yeah, the females are a little lackluster. I think that's a good way to put it. It's not like a bunch of standouts. I think there's some really good players in there that I want to see back, but there are a lot of question marks. Like, why are they even nominated? I don't know what happened with Hayden. I really don't, because he was on the list for a while, and
he was a lock. He would have been on 100%.
He would have gotten voted back in for sure. People liked him. He might have declined it for some reason or another that we don't know about.
Maybe just because he broke up with Kat, right? Something like that.
I know they broke up. I don't know who dumped who, but Hayden's the only survivor I've ever met. When I talked to him, he said he had been contacted about coming back and that he definitely wants to play again. That's what he told me. I was over a year ago. So I don't know what's changed. It seems funny though that he's not. It's I don't know why he's not there.
Because he would have been guaranteed. Him and Sierra were pretty much. I know you always say that the Tyson edit seemed like it was too obvious that Tyson was going to win, but the more I think about Blood vs. Water, Hayden and Sierra, that was a really good Final 6. Where it gets really confusing with all the Redemption Island stuff.
They had some great news. That's the good thing about Blood vs. Water. The returnees didn't like just dominate the newbies like they so often do on these half and half seasons. So. Yeah, Vetus, Sierra, and Hayden were all great newbies.
Yeah. So there's that. Let's see. Corey Bananas. Am I the only one rooting for Carolyn at this point?
There you go.
We got a Carolyn fan. I mean, I don't know.
But I wonder if Corey Bananas is just saying that because Mike's so obvious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because sometimes I'll do that too. Be like, it'd just be no fun if this person wins. It'd be too easy. It'd be like, just come on. You got to root for someone else. And then like Carolyn's literally the only person left that you could really root for.
Yeah. It was kind of like Cochran back in Caramoan. Like I thought he deserved to win, but if he wins, it was just too easy. So I started rooting for Eddie, and I really didn't even Eddie was cool, but he didn't really do nothing.
Yeah, I like Eddie and Reynolds.
Yeah, I thought Reynolds was a big snub for me. I'm surprised he wasn't on this list.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot of snub. Again, like we said, there you could do a whole snub. You could do days and days worth of snubs.
You really could. That's why this show's so good. That's why it's still on TV, because the characters are always entertaining.
And American Idol got canceled, so woohoo!
It did. Solomon Belay. I think Dan and Sierra will team up with Mike to get rid of Rodney, and Dan will use his extra vote to break the tie. Also, I hope Jeremy, Savage, Spencer, and Tasha return for next season. I'm with Will. I do not want to see Abby and Maria come back.
All right.
That's kind of what I was thinking with the extra vote. Dan, Sierra, and Mike team up. I think I could definitely see that happening. That's kind of what I'm thinking happens. I don't know. Let's see. Camden Ewan. I don't think you guys understand. Rodney has played a better game than anyone. He's led every vote out, and there's no way he doesn't win a challenge at some time.
I don't know about the challenge thing. I agree that Rodney's played a good game. I will say that. I think he's been portrayed as like this clown, and he had just a terrible negative episode last week so late in the game that doesn't really help his chances. The challenge thing, it's not like he's been right there. It's like he keeps getting beaten out. And then you got to think he hasn't been on reward. Why do you think he hasn't been on reward?
Yeah.
He's lost every challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been a lot of team
always
wars.
On the losing team.
Losing. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
I'm trying to look here.
Because we have some on this video too that I'll read once we finish up from last video.
Why do you say this is Camden Ewan again? Why do you say I don't know why they don't have a better six left? Like people like Mama C are just trying to help them win it, not for your entertainment. But I know what you mean. I'm not really sure. 100%.
I was saying in the last recap, like this final six isn't that great, but there is nothing anyone can do about it. It's just how it goes down. There's no one you can really put at fault here. You can't put production at fault. You can't really put the people left at fault. They are who they are, and they've gotten this far in the game. And that's how it goes. And it's what happens. And there's literally nothing you can do. But to say you don't have an opinion or that I'm okay with the final, you can still have an opinion. You can say, wow, this final six isn't that good. You can just say that without putting blame on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And this final six, out of all the final sixes, this is one of the weakest ones in the history of the show, I think. I really do. So.
Agreed.
Henfig Films. I got into Survivor and Cagayan and then skipped 29. Now I'm watching Worlds Apart. What season do you think I should go back and watch because I already love Survivor? Well, if you haven't seen any, I mean, everybody always says start from the beginning, but if I had to give you one, I'd say China every time. I always say China.
Well, I was looking through one of the other. What was that about China?
He said he started watching in Cagayan, skipped 29, and is now watching Worlds Apart. What season should he go back and watch? If you haven't seen any, I would say China.
There's two answers. One is season 1. Just go back and watch them in order. They're all pretty darn good. And then I think China is a great place to start if you want to do 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to get to Heroes vs. Villains. That was like the best run of the show. There's multiple season story arcs in there.
That was when Survivor fans were spoiled.
That's spoiled. When you get in there with China. 15 to 20 is like a good starter, the starter pack, if you will. But if you like the show a lot and you have some time, watch all 30 seasons.
Really do. Because season 1 through 7, like pre-All-Stars, they're so underrated. They really are. I mean, I know you're not huge on them.
No, are you kidding me?
No. I'm saying I know. Like what I'm saying is you love those seasons. Obviously, what I'm saying is you don't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Amazon's my favorite. Amazon's my favorite season. Marquesas, I think in like top 8 or something. Pearl Islands is in my top 5.
Okay, I lied to everybody here. Thailand.
3 out of the 7 I said are like in my top 8. So I don't know what you're talking about.
And what's crazy is other than Thailand, my other ones, Borneo, Australia, and Africa. I think Africa might be one of the top 2 most underrated seasons of the entire show. I just rewatched it. It's so underrated. And Australia and Borneo, I know you don't give nostalgia any play. Those 2 seasons, I mean, that's when Australia is when people really started to get to know the casts and stuff. And that's why it's still popular and Jeff Varner's being brought up now.
Yeah, I like those seasons a lot, but there's a lot of good seasons that like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's just an amazing stretch. Even if I know Samoa's in there, but if you can sit through Samoa, and I like Samoa. I think it's a fun season. It's an interesting season. It's
the Russell Hantz show. But speaking of Samoa, Sarah Harkins, do you think Sierra can pull off a win the same way Natalie did in Survivor Samoa? So sorry, Henfig Films, but we spoiled that for you. You think so?
It's possible. Anything's possible. I don't think it would be a Natalie White-esque win because if you're that means then you're comparing Russell to Mike, and Mike and Russell have completely everyone on the jury loves Mike. Everyone on the jury hated Russell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the key difference. That was a really bitter jury in Samoa. Samoa was probably the most bitter jury other than All Stars that we've ever had.
I don't even think they were bitter. I think
No, they were bitter.
They just didn't want to award $1 million to an asshole. And it wasn't like I hate your gameplay. I hate you voted me out. It was just like you were unpleasant to be around. I don't want to give you $1 million. No,
I think they were bitter. I do. I have to go back and rewatch it, but I really think they were.
No, but bitter is different than just voting because you don't like someone. Bitter is when you look at the games and you take it personally. Oh, you voted me out. I'm not going to vote for you. That's bitter in my opinion. I think that's what when people say a bitter jury, they're bitter about the way the game was played. I don't think they disrespected Russell's gameplay at all. I think a lot of people thought, hey, Russell actually did do some really great strategizing, but he was just a mean, unpleasant person to be around. Just had a terrible, terrible social game. I don't think that they were bitter. I just think that they honestly didn't want to give $1 million.
Yeah, I guess the most, if you want to watch bitter, I guess it really does come down to Lex Vandenberg and All Stars.
All Stars
is brutal to watch. That final tribal council. That is.
I love it. That's my favorite final tribal. Easily.
It's so brutal how bitter that is.
The tension. It's so tense. It's great.
Yeah, that was insane. So yeah, I mean that's why back to Hen Fake Films, you got to watch from the beginning because you got to see like the All Stars, Pearl Islands. I mean, you really do. You really do. It's great stuff. All right, Squire Whitney power rankings. Dan at 6, gonna keep saying he's assholery. He's gonna bite him in the butt. 5, Rodney. Everyone else seems in a slightly better position. 4, Sierra. She's actually in a good position with Mike and Carolyn, but her lack of airtime could still mean her demise is coming. 3, Mike, just in case something crazy happens and they get the bigger player out. 2, Will, why vote him out? And 1, Carolyn, because she's got an item.
There you go. I mean, again, I only have Mike number 1, nothing to do with his position in the game. I just think he's the winner.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said too.
Is that any more?
No, and then one last one. This one's actually pretty long. Philip Nielsen, my predictions from here on. Ronnie wins immunity. Carolyn's idols is flushed. Mike voted off. That would be crazy.
What is all this Rodney winning challenges stuff? Where is this coming from?
I don't know.
Are people watching the same show?
I don't know. But they say votes. Carolyn gets votes from Mike, Sierra, Dan, and Dan's second one, and then Mike gets votes from Rodney, Will, and Carolyn, and Mike goes home in 6th. And then okay, hold on, we got something here. Rodney wins immunity again. Carolyn gets voted off. 5th place, Carolyn. Rodney wins immunity again. Dan gets voted off. And then final 3, 2 scenarios. If it's final 3, Rodney gets 2 votes. Will gets none. Sierra wins. Final 2 vote. Sierra wins immunity. Rodney gets voted off. And then I guess Sierra wins the game. So this guy wants Sierra to win really bad.
Why did Rodney stop winning immunity all of a sudden? I thought it was a joke.
I have no idea.
I thought it was like a huge joke that he was going to win immunity, go to the finals with Will and Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
All right, let's go to this one. There's some comments.
On this video, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have this one up. Sorry. So this is from Camden Ewan. Power rankings: Mama C, Rodney, Will, Sierra, Dan, Mike. So I guess he's got Mike on the bottom. He says, why would the preview say Mike is scrambling and he's trying to trick Mama C? He's gone. I haven't seen that preview, so I don't know.
Again, who said that?
Camden Ewan.
Oh, I'm not seeing that on here for some reason online.
It's there.
Oh, I can't find it. All right, anyway, go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, then we have Steel Punch. Steel Punch has about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 comments on this video. So I'm just going to rattle them off. Steel Punch is a loyal listener, so thank you, Steel Punch.
And a loyal Dan fan.
Right. Something I forgot to mention yesterday, Jim Rice from South Pacific has the record in shoulder the load with 240 pounds. Also, my man Dan will make a move. Hashtag go Dan. Cool for Jim Rice, and I'm campaigning for him. So it's a good stat. Thank you, Steel Punch.
He might have the record, but Mike Skupin did break it over his shoulders. So,
Yeah, because Mike's body wasn't strong enough to.
No, like the bar snapped in half. That's not Mike's fault.
Yeah, but that means he wasn't holding it up.
I don't know, man. He snapped the thing in half. I think it was just because there was so much weight on each side. It just snapped. I mean, he didn't lose the champ.
That's true. Okay. Steel Punch again. Who would have thought the Phantom Tribe would have 3, Phil has 2, and Will has Dan the Man? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. However, if you look at the points, let's do a fantasy update right now.
All right, hang on. I got to get
the
it
Phantom Tribe.
Who was MVP this week? Who was MVP this week?
I don't know.
We got like no votes. So who do we give it to? Probably Carolyn for turning on Tyler like that?
It was Carolyn or Mike.
I'll give it to Carolyn because I got enough points from Mike.
Well, we don't want Phantom Tribe sneaking up. We had nominees. We talked about this.
Yeah, it was Carolyn, Mike, and then you had to put Dan up, but nobody voted. I think Steel Punch might have been the only vote.
It's too early to tell whether Carolyn's move was a good move. Voting out her only ally, really, because now she's kind of. I don't know. Mike did play an idol and saved himself.
All right, we'll play Mike.
Carolyn won immunity though, so.
Yeah, I mean,
give it to Carolyn. Let's give it to Carolyn. Then let's get an update on the fantasy.
Okay, it's with Carolyn getting that. I have 50. Will has 48, and the Phantom Tribe has 16 points. So we still picked the better tribes. They just happen to have more people. Will's gotten 4 points, and Rodney's gotten 3. Like neither of them have won anything or pulled any big moves. So.
I mean, 16 points this week. It's because they're all goats, really, is what happened.
Yeah, except for Carolyn, and that's why she has the most points. She's pretty much got all their points for them.
She's carrying that team.
She is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Steel Punch. Best females are Abby, Maria, and Kimmy, while best men are Keith and Woo. Okay, Steel Punch. Then he says, "Am I your funniest subscriber ever? You guys will never agree. Dan is going to win. Give him some love, especially Phil." Then he says, expletive omitted to Serenity Now. He's not too happy that Serenity Now got the comment read first.
Dan's going to go home? Okay. All right.
Then he says, Haley was offered, but rejected. So thank you for some actual insightful comment there again.
If it is. It could be completely fake.
It could be BS, but I don't know. I don't think he's a liar.
No.
And then he says, why didn't they re-ask Dan? Re-ask Dan. I don't know. That beats me. And then we have Tony S.
Busy with Keith.
Then we have Tony S. Didn't Amanda find one at Final 6 in fans versus favorites?
Yes, because that's when she played it on Alexis. Or did she find it at Final 7?
Did she find it? Or when was it placed? That's the question. And I think it was placed at Final 6. And that was one of those immunities idols where we didn't know if she had actually found it.
Yeah, that's the classic Gary Hogeboom.
Yeah. It's too bad they can't do that more often. That only happens when they find it and play it in the same episode. Yeah. So, maybe there will be another idol. Like I said earlier, I think because Carolyn has one, because Dan has the advantage, there is enough going on. They don't need to stir it up anymore. I think at that point in fans versus favorites, did anyone else have an idol left? That's probably why.
No, she was the only one because then it was Eric, Alexis, Natalie, Parvati, and Saria. None of them ever had.
Alexis went home.
Alexis went home, limping out with her knee.
Okay. I think that's all the comments on this video. Let me just check.
We probably got no, we didn't get any more from Steel Punch. All right.
Looks like we do have one more, actually.
Really? I don't see it.
That's it. Okay. You have anything else, Phil?
No, I mean, we're going to do 3 podcasts in 3 days. Go check out our Survivor Second Chance nominees podcast. And, somebody tweeted out and hashtag Survivor Second Chances and try to get more people to watch it. Like shamelessly just get us out there. We didn't get anybody on the show because we're not cool enough, but,
Yeah.
Savage followed us, so maybe he likes us. I don't know.
Maybe Savage can come on.
Yeah, maybe that would be cool. He could keep promoting himself, and I would just keep on sitting here like bowing to him because I want Savage on the show more than I want anybody else.
I would have to rewatch Pearl Islands all in one day, or I'd have to just make sure, or at least his episodes. I'd have to
just get up to when he gets voted out. I think it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's not too much to ask. Okay, well, thank you for listening. Well, it's already Wednesday tomorrow. It's flying by this season. Pretty much life in general, just flying by.
Jesus.
Yeah, so before we know it, we'll have a finale, we'll have a winner, we'll have the season 31 cast. That's all going to come at once, and then before you know it, season 31 will be here, and then
we're going to do an existential podcast on what, Friday or Saturday, right? We're going to do like an existential "What Does Life Really Mean" podcast. If you guys want to listen to that one, I think Will's going to be the one who takes the lead on that one too.
Hey, that works too. I mean, I'm I believe in like a parallel universe type of guy, and like quantum immortality, stuff like that.
Where Dan wins Survivor. Hey,
anything that's ever, it's infinite, so anything can happen. Anything has happened. There is a universe where Dan won Survivor.
There you go. Steel punch. You just got to find a way to get there. Just find a way to get there. That's all you need. All right,
I think we did just get one last comment. So,
oh God.
Well, let's see what it is and see if we can squeeze it in before. No, I just got the notification late. Okay, that's it. Show's over. Thanks for listening.